Jillian became familiar with the real estate investor community as a frequent speaker on self-directed IRAs, investing at several real estate investment associations, as well as many local realtor associations and real estate brokerages. Having insider knowledge of financial services and the self-directed IRA industry, Jillian will share his insights and experience from working with countless clients and to motivate real estate investors to build tax-free wealth from doing what they know and love, real estate investing. And he can go ahead, and here's Jillian.
Hi. Hi, everybody. By the way, I have a couple of prizes here for the group. However, you want to distribute these.
Awesome, thank you.
Terrific. Hi, everybody. I'm here really representing IRA Club, even though I'm not an employee of theirs, don't work for them. I just know the owner, believe in the system, but really I'm here as a crusader, because I think everybody should have a self-directed IRA. The IRA Club, by the way, is a national in scope. They help anybody with an IRA in the United States. They're a leader in self-directed IRA investing, and they can help you with any one of these sorts of products. Traditional, simple, a SEP IRA, a Roth IRA, or a checkbook IRA, which I'll talk about, which is what I do. You can see the right is advanced, right? Here? Yeah, here you go. So first question should be, who am I? And who I am is just a regular guy. I'm a regular Floridian. This is what Floridians look like, in case you're not familiar. This is my family. My wife's the school teacher. My son just graduated from the Navy. He's in California learning languages now. He's going to be in intelligence for the Navy. My daughter, who's a personal fitness instructor I was telling you about earlier. And we're just delighted to be back in Florida. I've lived in 13 cities across the United States, and I'm a shorts and flip-flop guy. Drew told me it was a Hawaiian shirt night, so that's why I'm
That's right.
Anyways, I'm also a painter. I like to paint, I exhibit, I like to create, I cook, I draw, I do all kinds of stuff, garden. What I'm not is a CPA, and I'm also not an attorney, even though I look great, right? But I am a trained and experienced IRA investor in real estate right here, and I'm here to show you how you can accelerate your retirement wealth tax-free, and I did say tax-free, which is what I'm doing. So what we're going to talk about very briefly is what exactly is, can you see okay? What exactly is self-directed IRA investing, something about IRA custodians you need to know about. I'll show you very, very briefly the flip, rehab, all the ways you can buy investment property with your IRA, and talk about what I do specifically, okay? So what is an IRA? Well, when I would ask that question, I would get kind of responses like this, right? But actually, I want you to think about it like this. It's really just a savings account. Obviously, it has tax incentives for you. I think the government a long time ago figured out that people weren't saving enough. So how can we kind of boost that a little bit? So they gave you tax incentives to save, because they knew that Social Security wasn't going to be around, which we're all learning about now. And it's also a savings account that you direct to grow your wealth for retirement. So it's a long-term thing. You can't touch the money for a long time, right? And the thing about self-directed IRAs is that there's no such thing. It's really a marketing term. Because when you look at the IRS code, it doesn't say anything about self-direction. But what makes a self-directed IRA is your ability to truly direct your investments, and that's all dependent on the custodian that you're with. So if you go to the big traditional houses, the Schwabs and all those guys, their business model is push a button, they make money. This is different. Yeah, right? This is different because they're not really set up for the back end of investments and selling notes and gold and all the plethora of investments that are available to you as investors. So that's what the deal is that put your money with a custodian that allows non-traditional assets, and that's a self-directed IRA. Some of them will talk to you, you'll get like red-faced talking to Schwab people, say, no, ours really are self-directed. Look at the ads, it says self-directed. It's like really not self-directed, because you really can't buy what you want to buy. Lots of different kinds. I'm going to talk about these two, the traditional and the Roth primarily. How many realtors in the room? Self-employed people? A lot of you? Okay. You should think about SEP, because while these are very, very conservative in how much you can put into it annually, earned income, it's got to be. You can't go to Vegas and put the money in there. It's got to be earned income. You can prove it. If you're like me, over 50, catch-up provision. But a SEP is great because you can save much more, $50,000 or 25% of your salary that you can actually sock away every year. So if you're making some money, you're thinking about the future, you might want to consider a SEP. The things about, if you ever worked at corporations and you have a 401k, they typically, when you leave that company, you can transition into have a traditional IRA. because you haven't paid tax yet, and we'll talk about that later. There are some advantages and disadvantages. You can invest, but you have to take your money out at 70.5, or you get what they call minimum distribution requirements, right? Which can get ugly because we're all going to live beyond that, well beyond that. The thing with Roths, there are some limitations about how much money you can make. If you make too much, you can't have one, okay? But with a Roth, you can invest into perpetuity. You can invest forever, right? You don't have to stop investing, and you don't have to start taking your money out or be penalized, okay? So there's some keys there. Looking at a Roth versus a traditional, as I mentioned here, you haven't paid taxes, you invest, it does what it does. When you take your money out, when you're 59.5 or older, you get a gimme from Uncle Sam, right? So a Roth is different because you've already paid taxes, the investment does what it does, and when you take your money out, no tax bill. To me, that's a beautiful thing. I own properties, and I will never own tax on those properties except for the local taxes, but no capital gains, nothing. And how many of you here think the taxes are going to go up at some point before you retire? Smart group. Great. Of all the things you can do, these are just the the categories rather that are things that you can do with your, that are really called non-traditional assets, right? Even though you can do traditional assets, you can have a brokerage account in your self-directed IRAs. But all the kinds of things, this is very popular. Second notes are getting really, really hot. But all the ones in purple are the things that I have personally done and helped me grow my portfolio some 300%, 100% tax-free. So very excited to talk about that a little bit more. So who should consider a self-directed IRA? Folks that, like me, I worked for 20-something years and was tired of being told what to do and wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I wanted to kind of take control of my financial future. So self-directed IRA is really helpful for that. Let me see, was there something that should have been another message here? Did it come? Good? I don't know why. Should have a scroll. Anyways, the point here is that I don't trust Wall Street. Does anybody else trust Wall Street? Because I really don't trust it at all. So, the whole country is in this turmoil about who we're going to be when we grow up. And while they decide, I'm going to stock my money away where they can't touch it. So that's what I did. Also, investors that are interested in accelerating your growth, that's what I felt like. We're investing in mutual funds. It was like Sisyphus, rolling up that boulder, man. Just, it's like, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And definition of insanity. Investors interested in diversifying hard versus paper assets. I mean, mutual funds, the park and pray strategy doesn't work for me. Instead, I'm interested in buying income-generating assets, which I have done, and it works for me. In fact, I think Warren Buffett the other day said that if he could figure out how to buy thousands of homes in foreclosure and distress and figure out how to manage them, that's what he would do. That's where he would put his money. He's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah.
Also investors in looking to keep more of what you earn, because that's really become my mantra. The IRS is going to shake you down. The government needs money, all this other stuff. So while they decide what they want to do, I'm doing my money, and that's really what the key is putting my money where I want it and where I can put it to make money for me for my retirement. So why invest tax-free? To have the retirement you deserve. Oops. Some people think that that's retirement. It's not for me. This is one that I want to create, whatever it is. How it works is very simple. With an IRA, you basically open up an IRA with a company that allows you to invest non-traditionally. You choose the asset you want to buy, and then you just direct the custodian to acquire the asset. So if you notice that even with a self-directed IRA, with some custodians, they're actually doing the paperwork for you. You have to do a bi-direction letter. You have to, anytime you deal with your own money, you have to go through them. Okay? You know what this is? This is my IRA. It's portable, and that's how I do it. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. Okay? And then finally, how it works is you got to play by the rules. And essentially, at the heart of self-direction is no self-dealing. Don't do anything that looks like you're ripping off the IRA or the IRS rather. An example would be like if you bought a property with your self-directed IRA, you couldn't go stay in it, right? Because you'd be benefiting, right, from something that your IRA owns. Okay, so that's one of the rules. How to invest in real estate. So let's say you have an IRA or maybe an old 401. Anybody have an old 401k from a company that you used to work at? Is it still there?
Mm-hmm.
Great opportunity to move it out of there, okay? Because, it's like putting your eggs all in one basket, or maybe not. But still, you can have much more things you can do with it. Like how I got into this was becoming a hard money lender. I started lending to rehabbers. Could be 50, could be 25, could be $10,000, whatever it is. You're collateralized by that mortgage. It's a great place to be, right? It's armchair investing. Very, very smart stuff. Anyways, the things that you could do are if you had, $50,000, I bought a house from you for, what was it, 57 or something like that, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I had the cash, I wrote a check, bought the property. Simple as that. All the things that you know or are learning with folks like Kristin, all the ways to invest in real estate work exactly the same, okay? Except for the rules around how you use the property. You can't use them for yourself, okay? You can also partner with yourself. So let's say you had $25,000 in your IRA and you had $20,000 or whatever in your checking account. You could actually combine those two and own the property, what they call tenants in common. Each side owns 100% of that property, okay? They must have turned off the air. Partnering with others, we can all get our IRAs or cash together and invest tenants in common in the property. It's that liquid. You can write a check into an account, into an LLC, or into anything else and own that. And this is critical when we talk about checkbook IRAs, because you're actually investing in a private placement, in ownership of a corporation. You can borrow funds. Did you know your IRA could borrow funds? You can also lend funds, which is, I said, I got into the business, and all kinds of other things that I mentioned, all kinds of debt instruments, tax auctions, tax deeds, any of that stuff, write a check, you got it. So the difference your IRA can make, this is really talking to flippers, which is really getting hard to do, but if you can do 4 deals and make 5, obviously the math is kind of automatic here, but it's a very nice way because you're only putting in, especially with REOs, you're putting $1,000 down and you're making the spread, right? If you turn it for 5, all of a sudden your IRA is now $5,000, and you keep doing that. And I've known people that have taken very, very modest IRAs and grown it to 6 figures within a year or 2. This is what I do. Checkbook IRA, I call it the ultimate real estate investment tool. So the trick about this is that you have a self-directed IRA with a custodian that allows non-traditional assets, right? And you notice how these two things appeared simultaneously. That's part of the trick. You can't invest in something you already own. Another one of those rules, right? So these things get created immediately at the same time, right? Self-directed IRA that owns an IRS-compliant LLC. This is not one of the sun biz jobbies. This is something that an attorney is willing to vet and state on his license and say, yes, this is IRS compliant, I swear by it, right? Special language, whatever. That's why you pay what you pay for it. So being that this is a self-directed IRA, you buy 100% membership shares, a private placement in that corporation. And you register the corporation in the state you do business in. Could be Florida, makes a lot of sense to me. Delaware, Nevada, wherever. If you're gonna have an out-of-state LLC, you're gonna pay, state fees here and state fees there. So I just use a Florida LLC and it's fine. The LLC, then, because it's a registered state bona fide corporation, you go to your local bank. I bank at Regions, and with you showing your articles of organization, etc., you open up a business checking account. The money gets transferred, and you buy an asset. Checkbook IRAs. This is my IRA. I wrote a check this afternoon for a lot of supplies at Home Depot. I'm working on my 3rd rental this year, so I have that going on. But it's nice because I don't have to, like another custodian, I don't have to write to them or call them and say, I want to spend $3,100 on all this kind of stuff, and I don't need to send them paperwork and all that other mess. I just do it. So the benefits. Virtually unlimited choices in real estate, of course. No 2 properties are the same. Great way to diversify. Good for getting in and out of it the same way with solo partners or with solo or partners. and any exit strategy can be accommodated. Another one is control. So you have choice, control. You have access to your funds all the time. You don't have to ask permission. You don't have to get any, BS from an incompetent custodian, and no missed deals in this very, very competitive market. And finally, more investment wealth. This structure provides you asset protection, it provides you privacy, and you slash the custodial fees. Every time you buy or sell, there's another reason for them to charge you. With this, I'm done with all that. And you build your retirement fund tax-free, of course, with the Roth. Tax-deferred if it's not a Roth, but still, it's a beautiful thing. So start saving for your retirement, if not now, when? And if you don't do anything else, really think about opening a Roth. How many of y'all have Roth IRAs? Terrific. So that's about, let me hands again. So about half, okay? Roth is a beautiful thing. Why? Because you're investing in that which is small versus that which is large. So why not pay taxes on the acorn, not the tree? And finally, get a checkbook IRA if you like more choice, more control, and more wealth. Huh? Drew, did this one for you, man. Stay thirsty, my friends. So next steps, you can go to theiraclub.org. Like I said, they have seminars. I do a full-blown seminar on this if anybody's interested. Here's the little sell sheet on that. I got business cards here. And if you send me an email, I will send you kind of like a little ebook on this, and I have several articles that I've written about different aspects about what's happening on with the stock market and what the prospects of that are. What are you going to do with your retirement funds and so forth. So they do seminars. Dennis Blitz is the gentleman that runs it, my friend. He's in Chicago. Very, very knowledgeable. He actually wrote that book. If you've ever taken your Series 6 or 7 or 24 or all those other numbers, he wrote the training manual on all those things. Wizard, really smart guy. He wrote this book on the stock market. And I also have another one from a friend of mine, Robert Sheeman. How Come That Idiot's Rich and I'm Not? It's a great book. Very funny. But anyways, call them, check it out, and you can always contact me. I'll be happy to chat with you over coffee or whatever, and I would love to answer some questions. Yes?
If you're trying to fund the IRA, and your income is not earned income, how do you get, you have to have earned income. You have income, but let's say it's not earned income.
What is the income?
I trade for a living.
So, do you get a 1099 on that?
No, traders are considered unearned income for tax purposes.
That's what's wrong with the government. No, I'm just kidding.
So,
you don't pay tax on that? You pay capital
I still pay
gains?
taxes on it.
Yeah.
Taxes on it,
So why isn't that earned income?
It's